away, put it on there. There you go. As I get a nice big spark going. Alright, in today's video we are going to be talking about starting fires and the different ways that we can do that. And then we're going to throw in a little arts and crafts into everything. Alright, so as we all know, whether it's a bug out bag or get home bag or whatever it is, when you're not at home, or you know, even if you lose power, snowstorms, hurricanes, all of it can happen. Sometimes we need to start a fire for warmth, for security, for cooking, things like that, especially to boil water so we can help purify it and all that. And there's a million different ways to start fires. There's a plethora of videos out there talking all about bushcraft and all that good stuff, and they are way better at it than I am. I'm here just showing you some little things that I have to kind of help me along, and then I'll show you the arts and crafts. Basically you're creating the same thing but on the cheap. Alright, first and foremost, for starting fires, we have your run-of-the-mill matches. Okay, they're not waterproof, they're just a little packet of matches. You carry something like this, that's great. However, high winds, sometimes these aren't going to work, and you're going to go through a lot of them. So make sure you build a good windbreak before you start messing around with those. Next step up from there, you can always use a lighter. Alright, this happens to be a Zippo. Unfortunately, at this moment, the flint is dead, so no sparks. Okay, well, there goes that. Still works, it's great when you have flint. Of course, regular Bic lighters, these work great to have in your car, backpack, bug out bag, whatever. Wherever you need to start a fire, having one of these is great. Even when these run out of fuel, they still spark. You can catch a flame with the sparks if you prep everything correctly. Alright, now moving on from that, you can get very specific things for starting your fire. One of the things I have from Zippo are these bad boys, and when you open them up, they are massive. If I can get one out. Alright, they're like supposedly waterproof, hurricane proof, the whole 9 yards. One of the other containers I have that's got smaller matches than this, it's kind of like this, but it's OD. They've got fireproof or waterproof matches in it. Honestly, I looked around, I couldn't find it, and I mean, when I looked around, I looked for like 2 seconds. I'm like, well, I don't know where it is. Moving on. On the bottom, you've got the striker. Alright, this has spare pads in it, so when this wears out, you can replace it, peel that off and put a new one on. So there's something good to have, but it tends to be a little bit bulky versus something small like the lighter. Alright, and you don't get a lot of matches in it. It's just one of those things. They're good to have if you never use them, but they're good to have if you desperately need them. The little container is designed to float, so even when it's raining or when these are wet, they should still work. And we all know these, when they're wet, they won't work. Alright? Other things you can use to start a fire. I've got one of these. It is just a paracord bracelet. It's got a built-in whistle. It's like a little survival bracelet. And when you pull it apart, it has a ferro rod and then the striker, so you can strike across and make a spark. Alright? It does spark. I just had one. The only drawback with this one is, so those little plastic things get in the way. Sometimes Obviously, it's a hindrance, so this can fall in the category more of a novelty. I'm not saying it won't work, but there's better things than this. One of the things that I carry inside the backpack, each vehicle's got one, so on and so forth, are a ferro rod, obviously the striker for the ferro rod, and then this is a little wood scraper. So you're able to scrape wood, collect the bark, so you can make your little tinder pile, so on and so forth. Good to have. Now, when you guys get these, don't leave them in the box, don't leave them in the plastic. Take them out, mess around with them, play with them, try to start a fire. If you don't practice with the equipment, when you do need it, and you desperately need to make a fire, and you've never played with this, you're going to struggle more. You're going to get frustrated. So now's the time to practice with this type of stuff. All right? It's good to hone your skills. Now, we talked about the tinder bundle. So you can make a tinder bundle, obviously from like birch trees, so on and so forth. And that tinder bundle, once it catches an ember, you've got to nurse it. So you've seen different videos where they blow it up and it starts to smoke. That's great. But if there's a way to get the fire going faster without having to do all of that, I'm going to opt for that. And there's some things we can do and get that help us along the way. One of the easiest things to use are these. They're little things of chapstick. All right? Yeah, makes your lips look pretty, but at the same time, all that is petroleum jelly. Carve a little piece of that off. You can mix it in with that tinder bundle, or you can just light this up. It's gonna burn. This is a smaller travel size one. These work great. I have chapstick all over the place, not only for obviously using them on my lips, but they're always good for starting a fire in a pinch because it is petroleum based. Now, starting to think outside the box when it comes, basically you're going to look for anything flammable. With the end of COVID, there is a ton of hand sanitizer all about. It's everywhere. It's like super cheap, especially if it's that cheap garbage stuff. That's all alcohol, or I should say alcohol based. So using a couple of squirts of that mixed in with a tinder bundle, you're going to get instant flames. I have one right here. It's a little Purell. Hangs. Yes, you can sanitize your hands and all that good stuff. But in a pinch, you could use this to start a fire. It's a little thicker, which is good. You don't want that super liquidy one. This is a little bit will take you a long way. So in a pinch, something like hand sanitizer will work just fine. One of the things I have, and you've seen this a million times, but it is the Mystery Ranch bag, and inside the bag, I have little fire starters. All right, I have never tried these. I've not opened the bag because I also have other fire starters. These are good. It says it burns for 10 minutes at 750 degrees from Real Tree Edge. I did not purchase these. They were given to me by a work customer who had them and didn't need them. So those are good. You can buy them. They're good little starters. Not gonna knock them. You gotta open them up, unfurl them, and then it'll start a fire. Again, you're spending money. You don't need to do that. In fact, you can make your own for just pennies. All right, I'm about to show you what you need and show you how to make one. All right, little arts and crafts this episode. All right, everybody ready for the arts and crafts portion? Here we go. You're just gonna need a few things. All right, and these are common household items. You put them all together and you make great fire starters in place of those little tinder bundles. All right, you can use this to start with small sticks, and obviously you build up. We're not going to be going over how we build the fire. I'm just going to assume everybody knows how to build a fire. If you don't for some reason and you need me to cover it, I'll do it. Not a problem. All right, so here we go. The things you're going to need. You're going to need a toilet paper roll, which I hope everybody has these. Just save these. I save a whole bunch of these, not constantly. I probably maybe have 50 or 60 of these just floating around. The next best one is going to be the paper towel roll. Now I do like these because they've got the little glue marks. So instead of having to eyeball and measure these, you can just cut these right on the glue marks, and they're all going to be roughly the same size, except when you get to the ends, so you can just trim those off and forget about it. All right. Next, you're going to need some petroleum jelly. Common household item. If not, and this one came from Walgreens, if not, you get this stuff at the Dollar Tree. It's super cheap. All right, so that's like the one thing. I mean, you're already going to buy the toilet paper and the paper towels. So that's the one thing you might actually have to go out and buy. Now, I've seen some people say, oh, you're going to use cotton balls. That's great, but instead of going out and buying cotton balls, you can utilize something that's kind of like cotton balls, and every household is pretty much going to have, and that is dryer lint. You do laundry, you dry your clothes, you're going to have dryer lint. All right? More importantly, what we're going to need, especially if you don't like touching all this weird stuff, is you need some rubber gloves. And then I like to store all of this when I'm done in a little Ziploc bag. I've got some of the bigger gallon bags. These little ones are good for, you make like maybe 4 or 5 of these and you put them in your backpack. A couple of them, put them in your car, and they're great. So, first and foremost, you're going to take your tube like this. All right, and it's slightly out of reach. We're gonna cut. All right, so if you need to use safety scissors, I don't know what to tell you. These are regular standard scissors that I just went and stole from my wife. If you ask her, she probably would suggest that I use safety scissors. All right, so all you're gonna do is you're gonna cut one of the little glue lines, okay, and you have this little circle. All right, now if you want, you can make them thinner. I like this because I like to have not filled to the top. It's going to be just below, and this will act almost like a little windbreak and a little pocket to catch any sparks that you have. Okay, that's me personally. That's what I like. All right, so now the messy part. I'm going to put the gloves on. You're going to want to prep your little sandwich bag by having it open. You don't want to have to struggle to open it once your hands are all covered in the petroleum jelly. All right. And you can see that I've used this before. There's lint inside there because, well, I've made a bunch of these. All right. You can do it one of two ways. You can just get a glob on your finger, or you can shove the lint down inside, mix it around, and pull it out. I just like to get a nice fat glob on my finger. I'm going to rip off some lint. And I'm going to put the Vaseline, the petroleum jelly, right into the lint, and I'm just going to start kneading it. Alright, I suggest if you're doing this like at your kitchen table, put some newspapers down or some protective paper so you don't have this stuff going all over the place, because it will stick to your gloves, and so on and so forth. And last thing you want to do is get it all over your nice kitchen tables. All right, so I just knead it. It's going to kind of look like a nasty little hairball when you're done. It is completely covered in pat. I'm going to wipe my fingers down, getting all that petroleum jelly on it. All right, we're going to take our little tube and we're just going to put it in the little tube. All right, now if it doesn't fill the little tube up like that one really doesn't, not a big deal. So I'm going to set that aside and I'm going to get some more. And I'm going to grab some more lint. I'm going to knead it, squish it around. This is a great project to do at home on a rainy day when there's nowhere to go and nothing to do. You and the family just sit there and make these little fire starting balls. Alright, you just gotta collect some dryer lint. I know there's not much commentary going on as I knead this. Alright. Now, let you know, if you have pets, like I've got dogs, obviously, you know, when you do laundry inside your lint trap in the dryer, you're going to get animal hair. Alright? When you do set fire to this, it's going to smell like animal hair. The nice thing with that, though, is it'll actually help start the fire. Alright, so I got more. I'm just going to stuff it in there, kind of squish it all together, and you can see the outside is starting to get a little covered in petroleum jelly, and that is why I like to prep the bag. Alright, so I just kind of pancake it out inside so it's completely filled, and you can see how there's like a little valley, so a little lip. So when it's sitting in your little makeshift fire pit or whatever you're making, your sparks are going to go down and they're going to be contained. The nice thing is this is going to burn for a long time. Alright, I've used these before just to start fires outside to practice with them, and these things will burn and burn and burn, and then you just start feeding it, starting the little sticks, little twigs. Make sure that obviously it's all wet, or it's not all wet. Oh my god, I can't believe I said that. If it's wet, it might not catch, so we want to make sure we're trying to use dry wood. If not, then, you know, it might be a little harder to start a fire. Alright, so with that, to store everything, all I do is I would drop it in the bag. Just, I don't know if you guys saw that. You just drop it right in the bag, and you can, like I said, stuff like 5 or 6 of them in there and be good to go. They do catch nicely. I've used dead Bic lighters and they ignite right up. It's a nice little flame. Start building on it, and before you know it, you've got a fire going. Oh, so one thing I like to do when I'm all said and done is, obviously, I want to wipe down the outside of the bag. I usually use a nice clean cloth, just in case I touch the outside of the bag or whatever. I don't want petroleum jelly all over this, because this is going to be stored in the bag. Now you can see this has some air in it, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to open it. I'm going to squeeze some of the air out. Alright, so just imagine we've got 5 or 6 of these in there. Alright, and you're only going to need one to start the fire, but you fold it up and then you just put it in your bag. Alright, even if they're somewhere in the middle, I prefer them close to the top, they get squished they're still going to work. All you do is pop them out, kind of reshape them. You can do that while they're still in the bag, so you're not getting nasty all over your fingers. And then when you need one, you're just going to open up your bag, take one out, place it, get that little spark in there, and you're going to have a fire going. There's your arts and crafts for the day. You're welcome. It's just like romper room or what have you. I know I probably just dated myself with saying romper room. With that, I would simply use just the ferro rod with a little striker. Okay. Now, obviously, this is still bundled up, so you're going to want to open this up so you can pull the away, put it on there. There you go. As I get a nice big spark going. So when you get the ferro rods, and they're brand new, this is a brand new one I've never messed around with. It's going to have this protective coating on it. So you're going to have to wear that coating off to expose the metal underneath. And then, well, you saw the nice spark it shot off right at the camera. It's all around it. Good to have. Alright, I'm going to pack this back up, and I will put this back in my bag. Granted, again, this is in my bag. This is a brand new one. I have others that I've used, and they're stored in different ones. This bag just happened to have a brand new one. So, if you have more than one, I think I have 5 or 6 of them, then obviously you're going to practice with one. You don't need to practice with all of them. They're all the same. I found these on Amazon. I'll put a link down below so you can find them. They work. I showed you they sparked. Sometimes you get stuff off Amazon and it's like absolute Chinese garbage. These work. They work great. You saw me kick that nice big fat spark right off. All you need to do is that petroleum jelly is going to catch, and you're going to have your fire going. No problem. And then you won't be freezing. Alright? And in alone, cold in the dark with the fire going, it'll keep all the scary critters away, and hopefully you can get out of the mess you're in. As always, hit up the comments below, like, share the video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel. We're doing cool, weird things like this, alright? I'm not the type of guy that's going to break out all the bells and whistles and show you all this awesome, fantastical equipment that nobody can afford. I'm just going to show you simple, everyday man stuff. Blue collar survival stuff. Things you can pick up at your local hardware store, off Amazon, wherever you may shop. Simple things that may help keep you alive if things ever go sideways in your life. Like these Walmart find. Alright? So, it's not like we're going to these specialty stores. It's just commonplace items to help you out. Alright, that's all I've got for you guys today. You guys have a great night. See you in the next video. Alright, I lied. Not letting you go just yet. Before I forget, I would not be doing my due diligence if I did not tell you about this. If you're into social media, which I have to be, it's part of my job, then all you have to do is either on Instagram or Facebook, just search Gun Guru Actual. You'll see the logo. You can't miss it. Subscribe, like, follow, whatever it is that you need to do. And we'll be putting some cool stuff up there. Some behind scenes stuff, memes, all that good stuff. See you on social media.